The first scene features Ainomiya High School, where a third-year student named An Kishimoto loves a form of Japanese archery called Kyudo. She has spent the last few years as a member and is now the captain of her school's archery club. Currently, she is preparing for a tournament, but she is not performing to expectations. Kishimoto even stays late after school for more practice and injures her forearm in the process. Meanwhile, another prolific archer from second year named Mikami Yoda keeps a close eye on Kishimoto and seems to be concerned for her. Despite his good archery skills, he is relatively lackluster and does not have the same level of enthusiasm for the sport as Kishimoto does. Surprisingly, on tournament day, Kishimoto fails to outperform, leading Yoda to win the tournament. Depressed, she sobs and decides to give up archery because she believes that she is no longer good at it. She then goes to the staff room to inform the concerned authorities of her decision to relinquish her captaincy and retire from the club entirely. When asked for the reason, Kishimoto claims that she needs to study for her upcoming exams. However, when she is about to leave, Yoda stops her. He claims that she suddenly increased the draw weight of her bow to 14 kilograms after the spring tournament, and she didn't have enough arm strength for it, causing her to lose the tournament. According to him, it is irresponsible for her to quit before the inter-school competition. Following this, he takes her to archery practice and instructs her on proper technique. During this, he even cracks a joke saying that his gaze is always drawn to her because he finds her attractive. The interesting conversation makes her feel at ease with him. The next day, Kishimoto is with her friends when she learns that Yoda has entered her name into the inter-school archery competition. Confused, she goes to talk to him about it and asks why he did it. Yoda advises her not to give up on her dreams so easily because he is aware of her passion for archery. However, an irritated Kishimoto yells at him, warning him not to make decisions for her. When she keeps shouting, Yoda admits how desperate he is for her to stay because he has fallen in love with her. Much to her surprise, he kisses her after claiming that she dominates his every thought. He then pushes her to the floor and asks her to reconsider her decision, to which she reluctantly agrees. From that day onwards, Kishimoto starts practicing with him, and with his guidance, she is eventually able to improve her aim. However, her classmates are dissatisfied with her decision to keep up with archery, as they believe she should prioritize her university entrance exam more. One morning, when Kishimoto is in the middle of her training, she overhears Yoda talking on the phone with someone named Yuki. A few moments later, she inquires about the person, but he responds dismissively that she doesn't need to know, making her feel bad. As a result, Kishimoto avoids him for the whole day and practices alone. However, because she can't concentrate without his help, she practices recklessly and injures her forearm once again. At the end of the day, Yoda tries to talk to her, but she remains distant. Realizing his mistake, he apologizes to her for taking advantage of her weakness and good nature. He also expresses his desire for both of them to succeed together, assuring her that he will always support her. His soothing words appear to have some positive effect on Kishimoto, and as a result, she is able to perform well in the next archery tournament. She even receives praise from Arashi Kuwabara, a representative from Nandai University, which boosts her confidence. After the tournament, she seeks out Yoda to express her gratitude for believing in her, but his friends inform her that he just left after receiving a phone call from Yuki. Assuming Yuki to be a romantic interest, Kishimoto becomes envious and rushes outside to follow Yoda in hopes of discovering the truth. She then follows him into a hospital and sneaks into a ward, only to discover Yuki is his childhood friend. Unfortunately, Yuki notices her eavesdropping, making her embarrassed. As it is already dark, Yoda offers to walk her home, and on the way, he questions why she was at the hospital. Kishimoto innocently admits that she was jealous because she mistook Yuki for a girl. Yoda asks her why she felt that way, to which Kishimoto responds that she too likes him. This unexpected response from her makes him very happy, and he embraces her right away. After this, Yoda holds her hand and walks her home. During this time, he shares that he has been living with his uncle and aunt since his parents left for Germany when he was 5 years old. This saddens Kishimoto, but she is relieved that he opened up to her. Before they part ways, Yoda asks for a kiss as proof of their love, but Kishimoto, who isn't ready for it, declines and walks home, wishing him a good night. The next day at school, Kishimoto is with her group when she is summoned by one of her classmates, who leads her to the second-year student's classroom. Peeking through the window, they witness a girl proposing to Yoda. Kishimoto appears to be nervous thinking of his response, but she is relieved when he rejects the girl, stating that he already has feelings for someone else. After classes, Kishimoto catches up with Yoda, who is on his way to archery training. She stops him and suddenly kisses him on the cheek, wishing him luck with his practice. Yoda wants more, so he leads her to the changing room and begins making out with her. Shortly after, they are interrupted when Yoda's phone starts buzzing. It turns out to be a call from his father, but for some reason he rejects it and lies to Kishimoto, referring to it as a wrong number. Later, on their way back home, Yoda reveals that his next amateur archery tournament is scheduled on the same day as her university entrance exam. He then shares his decision to refrain from seeing each other until that day because he doesn't want her to be distracted by him. Kishimoto agrees with his decision, and before departing, he hands her a good luck charm to encourage her to do her best. A few days later, we see Yoda walking home from practice when he is approached by his father, who is in town for business. From their conversation, we learn that Yoda has a strained relationship with his parents. His father advises him to accompany him to Germany and continue his studies there. However, Yoda firmly declines, saying that he must remain in Japan in order to ace Kyudo. This elicits sarcastic laughter from his father, who then asks if he is doing all this for Yuki. When Yoda doesn't respond, his father tells him not to waste his time on such frivolous pursuits, because Yuki's terminal disease will soon claim his life. This hurts Yoda, prompting him to storm off after yelling, "He won't die." The scene then shifts to the day of Kishimoto's exam, and she performs admirably, just as she'd promised Yoda. The moment she walks out of the exam hall, she notices a voice message from Yoda's friend, Endo, informing her that Yoda did not attend the tournament. This worries her, so she starts looking for him. At first, she rushes to the hospital in hopes that he might be with Yuki, but she is mistaken. Suddenly, Kishimoto recalls a place where she once saw him crying. Believing that the place holds some meaning, she dashes there, and thankfully, she finds him. Kishimoto asks Yoda about what is troubling him, expressing her desire to know everything because she wants to be with him even in his darkest hour. However, Yoda remains tight-lipped. Out of the blue, he poses the question of what goes through her mind when she is aiming for the target in archery. In response, Kishimoto performs the process she goes through. Noticing that he is still sad, she moves closer to him, confesses her love for him, and even kisses him on the lips. But instead of brightening his mood, he believes that she is only with him because he has been forcing his feelings for her, and that she does not truly love him. Before Kishimoto can say anything, Yoda abruptly ends their relationship and walks away after thanking her for everything. As time passes, we see Kishimoto, who has finally enrolled in Nanda University to improve her archery skills. There, she practices under Kuwabari's supervision, but despite this, she can't get over Yoda. One day, Kuwabara approaches Kishimoto and shows her a video of Yoda imitating her archery form. Intrigued to find out the reason, she goes to the archery club where he practices and confronts him about why he is copying her form after abandoning her. Initially, Yoda doesn't say a word, but when Kuwabara kisses Kishimoto in front of him, he gets envious and punches him in the face. Unsure of what's going on in his head, Kishimoto questions why he would do that if he has no feelings for her. Still, Yoda remains silent, causing her to become upset and storm away. In the following scene, Kishimoto pays a visit to Yuki in the hospital and speaks with him about Yoda. When Yuki watches Yoda's video footage, he explains to her that using someone's form in a tournament is a momentous act of love. He goes on to say that Yoda has avoided becoming overly attracted to anything for the longest time, which has made it difficult for him to understand what love is. Now that he has found her, he doesn't know how to express his love. He's trying to win his final tournament using her archery form because part of her is always with him when he competes. The next day happens to be Yoda's tournament, and before he enters the arena, Kishimoto approaches him. She encourages him to do his best and holds his hand, wishing him luck. In this tournament, he goes up against the top archer of Yasumi High School, named Shireishi Kohai. The rules of the game dictate that the shooter must shoot until his opponent misses the target. The tournament begins, and Yoda takes his aiming position. He then recalls every step of Kishimoto's archery form and holds an arrow poised to strike. Meanwhile, Kishimoto, who feels a part of him, also performs the same actions. Eventually, Yoda hits the target flawlessly, propelling him to victory. The next day, Yoda and Kishimoto meet at the archery club, and he finally reveals why he copied her form. He claims that he had no interest in archery and was only doing it for Yuki. But ever since he saw her honest and steadfast passion for archery, he admired and envied her. Her nature made him fall in love with her, which is why he started to win by using her form. He also discloses why he left her. According to Yoda, if they stayed together, he'd only get more possessive and controlling of her. After hearing all this, Kishimoto inquires as to what he wants from her, to which Yoda replies that he not only wants her body and soul, but every moment of her life. She then bursts into tears and declares, "All of that is already yours, Yoda." Furthermore, she affirms that she wants to always be with him and never be apart. Following this, Kishimoto decides to demonstrate her love for him by challenging him to a game of archery. The two agree on the rule: whoever misses the target loses, and if he wins, she must stay away from him forever. Despite the high stakes, Kishimoto is determined to win because she cannot afford to lose him. The two then take turns shooting at the target, and on their fourth arrow, Yoda becomes a little overwhelmed seeing her determination, causing him to miss. But much to his surprise, Kishimoto perfectly hits the fourth arrow right in the center of the bullseye, securing the victory. Then, as promised earlier, they happily come together, and the movie concludes with the two sharing a kiss.